G'day Bomber fans, it is that time of the month again. Cal Toomey has released his Phantom Form Guide, his draft power rankings. Now to kind of tell you why this is important, it's not really right now, but it will be. So Cal Toomey is the man to listen to when it comes to the draft. He is genuinely the best there is at predicting what will happen on draft night, where players are going to fall and rise. The intel he gets from clubs is top notch, and it's why he's made a name for himself with his mock drafts, and that comes later in the year. This isn't a mock draft, but these Phantom Form Guides give us a really good indication as to who we could be looking at on draft night with our picks. Essendon have two very early selections in this draft. Cal Toomey is very good at predicting where players will fall. You kind of see where I'm getting here. So yeah, let's chat about the top 20 he's put out and who the Bombers could be having a look at, because it's changed a lot since last month, and it will continue to change until the end of the year. Before we look at his top 20, it's not even his top 20 by the way, it was a top 30, I've just narrowed it down to 20, but here's the current draft order as it stands and how it will stand until the free agency window opens. So the Bombers have picks 4 and 5 right now. That is probably going to change. It will be more likely 5 and 6 on draft night, because West Coast will get compensation for Oscar Allen departing, and that compensation is set to be band 1. Something to note with that is that it would mean the Eagles can't get Starcevic without the compensation sliding down. The AFL might change that rule for them, but usually if you get compensation for a free agent leaving, Oscar Allen, you lose that value if you bring a free agent in, Brandon Starcevic. So that is something to look out for, because that is in play, both those moves. But at the time of recording, I'd say it's more likely we get 5 and 6 on draft night, and then you've got Draper, whether he gets us band 1 compensation if he leaves, and if he does, it would mean we'd have picks 5, 6, and 7, which is a great haul. So yeah, I don't know, a lot to do, lot to look through. Let's look at Cal Toomey's order. Okie dokie, so we won't go through everyone and talk about, them as players as much. We're more going to talk about their form and where they are on draft boards and whether they're falling or rising. So Cal has Zeke Hewland at pick 1, Cooper Duff-Tytler at 2, Dersmer at 3, and Dylan Patterson at 4. The way I see it, that is almost a lock top 4. Or it is for me, at least, in my opinion on how the players are playing. But I think this is just kind of the general consensus a little bit now. It's getting to this stage. It's not a top 5, it's a top 4 this year. And I think those guys are the most serious prospects in this draft, the ones that you would consider trading up for. I'd guess that, pretty much every club has these 4 guys right near the top of their list. There might be some that have Annabelle a bit higher or Dyson Sharp, but these 4 are going to be around the top for most clubs. And the only thing that may change is the order. So Hewland and Patterson are Gold Coast Academy players. The word is that CDT and Dersmer are the targets of West Coast if they have the first 2 picks, and that is backed up by his ranking here. I'd suspect that the Eagles get a bit or 2 out for Hewland at least, but it's looking like CDT and Dersmer will be gone very early. Even if they're not taken by West Coast, I doubt the Tigers would pass on them. From this stage, it gets a bit tougher. You've got Dan Annabelle and Dyson Sharp, 2 of the more ready-made possession-based mids. Annabelle is linked to the Lions. Sharp is in the open pool. He's a really divisive player, Dyson Sharp. He is... or some have him at number 1, others don't have him in the 20. And I've got him around the 15 range. I'd suspect if we're talking about his position on draft night, I'd be backing in Cal Toomey's take here with a top 10 pick, if he's got him up high. This order could change, by the way. It will change, but Sharp does look to be a popular early draft open option pool. I'd be hoping that a club takes him early, because I don't think he's the right fit for the Bombers. If he's available at picks 5 and 6, I would, or whatever we have on the night, I'd probably want the club taking someone else. Like, I've got others in mind, and I struggle to see why the Tigers would want him either too. Like, he's that contest mid that they have quite a few of at the moment. So I wouldn't be surprised if he is available for the Bombers pick. I'm hoping he's not. Now, Lindsay at 7. This is the one we're all looking at. If you're not up to date with the draft, the Bombers fans really want this guy with one of our 2 picks. He is an exceptional ball user, one of the very best kicks in the draft, probably the best kick in the draft. If he's available, the Bombers take him, 100%. The question is going to be, is he available? And honestly, I'm probably leaning towards no. I think the Tigers need ball users, and this guy's a really good combo pick. Like they could bring in a different style of player to him with their other selection, and he complements any other pick because the draft is lacking so much in ball use. It's kind of a bonus to have a player like Lindsay. So yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to be around for our first selection. I think his draft position is pretty well set inside the top 10 though. This is where it starts to get a bit more interesting, because Harry Dean, Carlton father's son, really bolted up after champs. He's one of the best key defensive prospects in the last few years, really. But Xavier Taylor at 9, and this is great because I have rated this guy quite a lot through the year. I've seen some throw him around the 25 25 to 30 range, but Cal has bumped him up a lot to number 9, and this is really one to look out for. So Cal notes that, some clubs rank Taylor very highly in the early stages of the draft. One of the clubs that Cal is most in contact with in the league is Essendon. The Bombers need key defensive coverage. I really wouldn't be surprised at all if we were one of those teams that rate Taylor highly. This feels like a very big leap to go from wherever he was last month to in the top 10. I didn't think Taylor would be seen as a top 10 prospect, at least this early, but there's a reason Cal's bumped him up. Clearly, clubs are thinking about him a lot, and to be honest, rightfully so. I think the Bombers would be into him. I really like Taylor. I've liked him all year. I'd be keeping an eye on this one. I think I really wouldn't be surprised if the Bombers are one of the clubs that really like Taylor. 10 is Mitch Marsh. He is someone, again, 100%, he has some fans. Clubs really like him. They liked him before his standout champs campaign. He had a really fun battle on the weekend against Blake Threadgold, who's a really good lockdown defender for Sturt. Kicked 3 goals on him. It was a really great battle. But yeah, he's that undersized key forward that clubs are really starting to love, similar to Caddy. But I think if you have an early pick and he's available, he's definitely on that category of best available talent, even though we're not really after key forwards. I guess we are trying to find more strength in the forward line, more and more. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's on our whiteboard too. But yeah, keep an eye on Mitch Marsh. This is where you get some of the standout midfielders. So Sam Grill, Sam Cumming. It's actually a really interesting range here. So Grill, I'm surprised is still this high up. If I had to guess a player to slide who was in that top 10 range last month, I would have guessed Grill, but he does have a point of difference with his pace and his movement. I could see why clubs like him. Coming at 12, he was probably due to rise a bit until he did his shoulder, so this may well be his range. Schubert 13 is set to make his Sandful debut today, so that's going to be interesting in terms of his range, because if he, he's dominated at every level he's played at so far, and if he does the same in the Sandful against men in a final, that would be a big boost. 14, you've got Jacob Farrow, who I really like. I think he's got serious potential to rise. He's got that frame, 190 odd centimeters, or 189 I think. Plays defense or midfield, really smooth and great user of the footy. A few deficiencies, but a great base to build on. Greaves at 15 is sliding, and I reckon it's because of his two-way running. I think his defensive mindset is great in close and personal, and he's got such a good body and such good movement for his size, and he's a genuinely good ball user, but he does lumber around the ground in transition a little bit. And so yeah, keep an eye on that. You've got a couple more of the enticing prospects in Noah Hibbins-Hargraves and Jevon Philippou next up. And if you think this draft is a dud, by the way, because there are people who think this draft is crap, and I don't know why, but if you think that, these guys at 16 and 17 are proof that it is not, because I think these two both have the potential and the raw talent to be absolutely anything. There is seriously a lot to like about both these guys, and if Essendon were to end up taking one of them, I really wouldn't be surprised at all. Their range might be 16 to 17 now, but I wouldn't, I could see it rising, around that top 10 range maybe, not for both of them, maybe just one, but there's a fair bit there with these two. Swade at 18, our academy player. Hopefully he falls down a little bit so we don't have to spend as much on him. You've got Ludowick and Doveston at 20. So Doveston at 20 again. Like that's again, this is the draft. This is a guy who he was so good in the VFL as well. I thought he might rise a bit, but he's stuck at 20. So there's a lot of movement to go on with those three. I reckon they could all rise. So yeah, I think there's still a long way to go with this order. This is a very up in the air draft, and that's a good thing. I think if it is set this early, it means there is less talent coming through during the back end. But with guys like Hibbins-Hargraves and Philippou and Doveston all so low down in the 20, it shows there's a lot of movement still to come. Cal did this as a 30, as I said, but I don't think anyone in there would be looking at our pick calculations in the 20 to 30 range. He did have my boy Harley Barker at 25. I really don't think clubs will be looking at him early, but I do like him a lot. But yeah, this is why it's fun to do monthly, because this time last month he had Xavier Taylor at 15, he had Farrow at 21, they both shot right up. Then on the flip side he had Greaves, who was on the cusp of 10 go to 15th. Max King's out of the 20 entirely after being 14th, so lots is still changing, and just because Champs is done, Talent League's wrapping up and everything, it doesn't mean the landscape won't continue to change. Looking at that 20, if I had to guess who's going to rise and fall, I think Farrow, Hargraves, Philippou and Doveston could bolt at some stage. And to fall, I mean, Greaves is sliding, Cummings shoulder injury. I'd look out for Sam Grill sliding, maybe even Darson Sharp. But yeah, let's have a look at who is in Essendon's range. So I do this every month after he releases the rankings. We're going to assume that Cal Toomey has got this really right, and that West Coast with their first two picks take Dersma and CDT, and Richmond takes Sharp and unfortunately Lindsay. On screen right now are the open pool prospects in our range. So if those four are gone, who would I want the Bombers to take? What do I want the Bombers to do? What would I do if I was Rosa? A few options. I'm pretty lost as to what I'd want the club to do right now. I haven't actually decided, and I haven't planned this or anything. I figured it would be more fun to just decide on the spot a little bit. So I think we need to bring in a midfielder. We need midfielders. I think we need to upgrade that midfield quite a lot after a few poor drafts. And the best ones you've got are Cumming, Grill, Greaves. You've got some others on the outside as well, but those three I think are the ones that are going to be in our range. You could argue Farrow as well. I think he's not really a midfielder or a pure mid. You can justify taking one of those guys because they're arguably best available talent to some teams, but if they slide, Greaves is probably falling away a bit on that if Cal's rankings anything to go by. I'm going to start with a midfielder. I'm going to take Cumming. I think he's just the most promising player of those guys. He's got a great mentality on him. He's got a terrific mindset. I love the way he plays, and I think you guys would really like it too. There is a bit of that, typical 180 centimeter midfielder curse, and that's the player we always select. But I think Cumming it's more above the shoulders for me. This is someone who would really drive standards at the club, improve the culture. I like Cumming, and I think you guys too. With the other pick, I probably, you can't, if this is the range, there's a few different players you could take, actually. So Farrow's one. I was thinking about him before for the other one. Because he's not really that midfielder. He can play defence. He can transition into a big-bodied midfielder with good ball movement. I like Mitch Marsh and Xavier Taylor as key forwards and defenders. Marsh of the three is probably the best available talent. I just see tremendous upside with him. But I'm probably going to go Xavier Taylor. I think, key defender is what we need really badly on the list. He's got a great aggressive mindset. He's a good defender, but a really good rebounder too. I see a bit of Jordan Ridley, but kind of like a more athletic, less skillful Jordan Ridley. So I'm going to pick Sam Cumming and Xavier Taylor. And that's fun because last month I picked Greaves and Grill, and I'm changing it around all the time. So yeah, that is all. Just a quick little update as to the draft and how it stands out. And that's all. That is all, Bomber fans. Cheers for watching. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. Plenty more draft and trade content coming. But go Bombers.